Hello, cultural resetters. Welcome back to another episode of the TCR Artist Interviews. This week, I am joined by an artist all the way out in Manchester. Welcome, RAHH.
Thank you.
Yay! Audience clapping. So I'm really excited to just sit down and get to know you. If you want to, do a short introduction of who you are.
Sure, I'm RAHH. I'm actually in London right now, but I am from Manchester. So there you go. I'm from Manchester. Yeah, I'm a music artist. I've been doing this a really long time. And I make music and I sing for other music artists as well. I write music. And yeah, I don't know what else to tell you. There's my cat.
Here's my cat.
She's rude. She'll be making some appearances. But yeah, I don't know. What else do you want to know?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of want to start at the beginning, I'm always interested where your creative journey got its start and if it was in music or elsewhere.
Sure. Okay. Well, yeah, I was born into a really musical family. So my dad put together one of the first black boy bands of the 60s, and he was from Liverpool. So he was in the Merseybeat scene, which was centralized around the Beatles, really. And he was signed to the Beatles manager, Brian Epstein, and they sang with the Beatles. And my dad, their group was like, they were all black guys doing doo-wop, like very inspired by what was happening in America at the time. And that wasn't really happening in England, but they didn't play instruments. They were just all vocals.
What was the name of the group?
Yeah, you can look it up. It's great footage. They were called The Chants. So Chants, Chants. And there's some, funny videos of them kind of dancing around in pink suits and stuff, or like in the cabin. But that was my dad. So he'd been doing that all of his life. And he met my mum, who was a recording artist as well. And she was like a renowned session singer, doing many different sessions and working for different people after she stopped being an artist in her own right. And I have 3 older brothers. They're all musical. 2 of them do it for a profession as well. So they're writers, producers, instrumentalists, singers. And then there was me. So it was obvious that I was going to do this. It was just really normal for me to go into music. And my mum and dad had me, I think, doing my first like recording sessions when I was maybe 7 years old, like singing nursery rhymes or whatever they wanted children's voices on, and just went from there, really. Just one kind of professional job after another. And I went into acting. I was an actress for a long time, so I did that, and it was juggling acting and music until I decided that was too strenuous, and I decided to quit acting and focus on music. But yeah, that's it. That's the beginning.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense that, like your entire family was doing it. So it's kind of like, here's a mic. Why wouldn't I just sing into it?
It would have been more weird if I'd done something very normal. I think they would have been like, "What are you doing?"
They would have been like, "We don't know where this came from."
Yeah, I don't know how to teach you about this. What are you doing? So yeah, that's my family, which can be a curse and a blessing sometimes, because people can be with their criticism, and opinions. But it can be amazing to kind of go to them for things that go on in the industry. Music is such a mad journey, and there's been many, 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 many times I'm asking them for advice or help with things. So I'm grateful in that respect.
So how did you kind of make your break off into your own thing?
How did I do that? I was always really passionate about singing and writing. And I think at the very beginning, I kind of got scouted. Like I was singing, at something like, it's just something very averagey at the town, in the town, just something nom. But I was singing something, and a manager saw me, and he introduced me to his friend at a record label, and that deal didn't work out. They offered me a development deal. This was with Sony back at the time, quite a long time ago now. And the deal didn't work out, but I think that's was the seed that kind of was planted for me to be like, oh, this is a thing I can do. I can 100% do this. And so from there, I tried to make some demos, and I had my uncle in America, actually was a lawyer, but also a drummer, and knew some people, and he was trying to shop my demo around. And eventually my demo fell in the hands of a guy called Ken Calais, who was the producer of Fleetwood Mac Rumours album, which is maybe one of the best albums ever.
Yeah.
And mad. But what's funny is at the time, I didn't even know this album at the time. I was just like ignorant, like, whatever, who's this guy? But I ended up signing to their independent record label. And that's, I guess, how things kickstarted. And from there, I was introduced to, I mean, I can go on in this web, but like, from there, I was introduced to Dave Stewart, who is one half of the Eurythmics, who is integral to my story, because he has acted almost as a mentor and always believed in what I was doing, and helped me make my demos over in America and shop them over here. So he's a kind of thread that is quite constant through my career, and helped doors open. And I guess that brings me up to here. That's a brief overview.
I'm glad that you mentioned all those people, because something that we like to talk about is more than just the face of the creativity, because it does, there is a lot of supporting people behind it. And I think it's important to talk about those people almost as much as the people who are in front of it, because it's like, if they are not on the same page, if they are not like also trying to do what's best for you, then it kind of is reversed, and the power is no longer in the hands of the creatives. But when you have a team behind you who is there to support you, then that's when creatives are able to thrive.
This is really difficult to come by, having that team, and it takes a really long time. And even though I'm kind of mentioning those names, I mean, Dave 100% there, but the names are kind of help a little roadmap to kind of how you ended up where you were, because you meet this person and they send you down here, and you meet this person and you go this way. But my teams throughout my career have come and gone and come and gone. And yeah, this is hard when they break down, and when you have to rebuild again. I mean, that's what the starting again is. I think it's probably more significant than the music, because you're right, the team is everything, and it's very hard to get it right. And I think I recently had a rejig of my team, and I'm very happy now, and it's reduced massively. It's like me and my manager going,
yeah.
But
and you can take time to think about this, but like, what are some of the things that you've learned, like bringing together teams, breaking them down, like figuring out like what works, what doesn't work, what are some lessons, or like, what have you learned through that process?
It's hard to not sound so cynical when you answer this question.
I know.
How do I sound positive and be honest? Honestly, I learned that it's hard to differentiate. It's very easy to trust blindly because something sounds great and someone seems genuine, and they might be genuine. But the thing is I think the more you carry on in your career, the more I personally have realized I need to believe that I know what I'm talking about, rather than trusting the person opposite me in a suit, usually, who I think know what they're talking about. It doesn't seem to be the case, but it seems to take me a very long time to believe in me over them. You kind of, you're sitting with someone who seems to have a certain experience in a sector of music that you're not in. I'm the artist, so yeah, I can talk about my songs and my lyrics, and I can sing all day, and I will know what I'm talking about. But when you're talking to someone on your team that might be helping you market or release or distribute, or it's all that side of it, I'm more like, oh, if you've got more experience in that, I'm all ears, which is the way it kind of should be. But what I've learned is it's not always the case. Sorry, my cat's going mental over here. It's not always the case that they do know, or that they no one really cares about your project as much as you. Like, this is a lesson all the time that I'm learning and reiterating, and that's fine. But it's remembering that. It's just remembering that when people are telling you things. I think that's what I've learned with teams, and not to take things personally, and just that everyone has their own path, and it might not be the one that you thought it was, but there's another one for you, and all that kind of good stuff.
You know, it is pretty tricky, and maybe I'm bringing this to a different place, but you know, being a creative, there is almost like a mental and emotional toll to making sure that your art is being portrayed in the way that you want it to be portrayed, because you do care about it so much. And you know, and other people might be seeing what you care about so passionately as an object to be sold, like something that is to be profited from.
Absolutely. I think what another thing I learned, and I'm learning all the time, like every time I release something, I'm learning. I still kind of feel new to that. You know, I haven't released that many things. I'm working on stuff. I'm you know, working on an EP. You know, I haven't done an album yet. I'm still new. But what I'm learning every time is, like, if you're not happy with how it is, like, it just isn't, there's no longevity in that. Like, it doesn't align in an authentic place. I hope that makes sense. But it's like, if you're not happy with the production or the package or the video, or if you're not happy with it, you can't maintain that. You can only maintain what's true to you and what you're happy with. So it's just a way of saying, kind of, it's all very well saying, you know, be true to yourself. Like, it's almost a cliche thing to say, but it's kind of like, if you're not true to yourself, like, people just won't believe you, and you won't be able to have a long career in that.
Yeah.
Reminding.
But also, like, that's how you get to the point of burnout.
Yes.
Because you're, you know, pushing and pushing and holding, you know, keeping this sandcastle together that's just crumbling. But
and trying to be someone that you're actually not, which is something that I learned in acting as well. So I was an actress since I was 14. I did it for 12 years, and like, this was something that I learned after, especially when I started moving. I came to LA to try and do pilot seasons and stuff, and that's when it really hit home. It was like, you can't go in there. I'm aware of the irony of acting is trying to be someone else, but you know what I mean? I mean, like, you can't go into the audition room and try and be who you think they want to see. Like, that's kind of how everyone played it out there. It was like, oh, well, we think they want to see someone that looks like this and dresses like this and talks like this, and this is before you've started acting, but it doesn't work. They know it's like, yeah, it just doesn't work. But that took me a while to figure that out as well. And you just kind of have to go, well, I'm just who I am. I just do what I am. Like, take it or leave it, you know? It's funny, it takes so long to realize that, but there you go.
So how do you portray that in your music, or how do you, you know, continue your authenticity?
I think part of it was kind of rejigging my team. Like I said, like, once I was able to break away people and come back to me and not care about what someone else thought was going to be the hit, or someone else thought what we needed to release next, I was able to have a little bit of me time and space and just go, this is what I want to release. This is my favorite song. This is what I think is going to work. And regardless of how it does, or who, or what happens, like, that's me staying true to myself. That's where the longevity is for me in the career. That's how I'm attracting fans for life. That it just aligns better for me. So that's what it is. And then, you know, you rebuild your team when you have that at the core. Everyone understands it. Everyone follows that. I think it gets messy when things are done in the wrong order, and then no one's really sure of what the goal is, what the direction is, and there's lots of opinions, and then you get lost. You're not really sure what you're doing, who you are, and what you're trying to say anymore.
When everybody's on the same page, though, that's when something beautiful happens. That's when you get art.
That's it.
We're all striving for that in one way or another. So I wanted to ask you about your support system, or like, how is it that you are able to maintain yourself, whether it's other people or through, I don't know, activities or how do you stay sane?
Gosh, oh, it's just going to sound like a love fest. I'm just going to, I'm just going to go, oh, my boyfriend's amazing. Yeah, no, through lockdown, 100%. My boyfriend has been absolute rock and has enabled me to be able to write and create. And I mean, in a way, like, you know, we're both in the house. So that could have been a very tricky situation because I have to do everything from here and he was here as well. But he just gave me the space and he made sure everything was clean and tidy. He was just amazing at being there as a support. And I have to say my family, like one of my brothers in particular, you know, he's just a kind of genius with music. And so any, you know, problems with, I don't like this mix, or is there a problem with this, you know, bass line, or is this, you know, ask him anything like that. He's a huge support. My manager is a very good friend of mine, massive support, like speak to her every day, knows everything going on. And then friends and yoga, that, you know, that's it, some sunshine and I'm good.
That's great. That's amazing. No, I liked the, you know, your response, because I just think it's so important that is, you know, one of the priorities is maintaining self-balance, because
It's true, yeah.
yeah.
I totally agree with you. And again, I think that's only something I've really considered as a priority, like in the last couple of years, particularly since the pandemic, to be honest. I've kind of slowed down and gone, whoa, like what's important? And I'm really trying to keep that balance now. And just to remember that the art and the creativity doesn't come if you're not happy here, if you're not at peace, if, you know, if you don't get that space, if you're go, you know, there's no space in your brain for the creativity. If you don't go outside and have a look at the sky or go for a walk, you might not be inspired to write the next song. Like, it sounds cheesy, but it's that simple sometimes, you know. You can be sitting at the piano like, oh, I need to write a song,
Yeah.
Nothing
And then the pressure of it is like,
yeah. So this is important. And I think something that people really need to hear actually is like, you must prioritize that stuff as part of your job. Otherwise you can't do the other stuff.
yeah. I find myself doing that a lot, where I'm just like, oh, I have free time, like, and I want to have fun or something, but I'm like, I should be working on this. I should be working on this. I should be like doing these
Yeah.
other things. But it's like, if I don't give myself those breaks to just be outside or just, you know, talk to somebody or do some art, like, then the rest of it is thrown off. And it's like, well, maybe, you know, I could be more putting more time into this, but if I am not allowing myself that space from work, my work will not be as good.
Totally. And it's like a self-employed curse. Like, you get the guilt. Everyone gets the like huge guilt cloud. What am I doing? Why am I doing this? I should be working, blah, 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 blah. But you have to, like, you know, tame that voice down and go, no, this is, I have to have space for this. But yeah, I mean, that's a struggle. It's a battle for everyone. It's still me as well. Like, I'm still getting that guilt sometimes if I'm not at it, but
Have
it
you
doesn't always.
have you ever experienced pressure, um, maybe from peers or from the music industry in general, to be able to push yourself past your abilities?
The pressure is from me, I think, has been. Um, I honestly don't think I have ever been under pressure from anyone else except my head, my own self, to do that. And I feel like I worked really hard for a certain period. Um, and I'm starting to relax a little bit now. But yeah, I don't really think I have one of those stories where I was, you know, drilled. And I think it's come from me and my own want to do it and my passion for it, and that guilt and the drive, and you thinking if you don't push 1,000,000%, then it's not going to happen. And I don't think any of those things are right, but I think that's what it was.
Yeah. Well, that's, you know, refreshing, because you know, the cultural reset is, I feel like we are trying to capture this change that is happening in the music industry, almost like this shift and priorities that is being reshifted to the creative, just because the power is going back to the creative now that you can, if you want to, do everything yourself. You can promote yourself on social media, you can drop your own music on all of these many different platforms. You don't need a label as much. I mean, of course, having a team enables you, and having those resources enable you, but there is a shift happening where I think that it is, like, back to the creative. Do you see
Yeah.
that happening, or do you see something different?
No, I do see that happening. I think what I was thinking when you said that is, it's interesting because it does give the power to the creatives. And really, if you're asking people, what do you want to do? You want to make music and put it out there? Then yeah, they can do that. If you're asking people, do you want to be famous? This is a different question, which is great because you're getting to the root of it. Do you want to do music because why do you want to do music? And if it's for the right reasons and you want to put it out there and you want to see if people like it, yeah, like it's there. If you're after grafting for a career in music, you want to be able to sustain yourself, monetize it, I think this is where the team comes in. I think it's still very difficult as well. I'm independent, right? I'm an independent artist. It can be difficult financially because everything you do is to fund your project, and then you have to make sure you be able to get it back. So it's more of a struggle, and I think it's almost a luxury sometimes. So I think that depends. In one respect, yeah, you can do what you want, but in order to market it, in order to be making steps to sustain yourself, I think it's more tricky. It's not impossible. And if you can do it independently, that's the goal, because you get to keep all your stuff and you get to keep control of your stuff, which is almost like a drug, having control of your stuff. Like it's scary thinking of, of handing it over, any control over now for investment, because I have all this control. But yeah, I don't know.
So we also obviously exemplify and uplift POC and or LGBTQ plus people. So I'm curious how or what the representation is like in the UK when it's from behind the scenes, because I know, in the US, there's a lot of just like cis white people who are making all the decisions on the teams and behind the scenes, and we want to, like, also make sure that that aspect of the music industry is represented.
Yeah, that's the same here. I mean, that's the same everywhere. I think and yeah, I mean that they're the changes I guess people are trying to make. But the stats are ridiculously devastating. And to be honest, it's something that only since reading the stats, and for anyone listening who doesn't know, I think so. There was a report called Counting the Music Industry. It was done in 2019 that basically showed that it was 20% of females. Let me check this. Oh, sorry, I went somewhere. Yeah, there was 14% of females that were signed to a publishing deal. 14% were female, and 20% were signed to record labels. So I'm not talking about people of color here. I'm just talking of a male and female situation, because the report wasn't done on people of color, and I'm waiting for that report. But obviously it's less than 14 to 20% if you're looking at females that are of color as well. And that's crazy. That's crazy to me. I think in America, I saw some more stats, and that was based in America, not the UK, and they were showing the percentages of females in certain genres, and I think pop was 32% female, R&B and soul was 16% female, and this was taken from over 8 years, looking at the Billboard Top 100, like 1,800 artists. Like this is real. This is what it is. And I think it's just really interesting, because I think media gives us the impression, or gave me the impression, that there were people of color as females kind of all over the music scene. I was like, yeah, there's no problem. And then when you start looking at the stats, I start to go, oh, have I been held back in some way? Like, it's just a weird way round of considering that you might not have been able to go with acceleration because of your color and of your gender, and all kind of hidden from you in like, you know, this amazing racism veil that's like secret.
And a mirage of sorts.
Yeah.
That makes it appear, because I definitely, you know, hearing those numbers, I have seen, you know, maybe not the same report, but reports of similar like inconsistencies in the numbers. And it's just not the same when I'm on social media. You know, when I'm on social media, I'm seeing like, you know, Black representation and people of color and queer people and like all of these artists. And it's like, okay, like there is representation, there must be. But the thing is that is the person in front of the camera. That is the person who has the social media account. But it does take, you know, everybody who's not appearing to the public through social media
Yeah.
also represent the person who is on, you know, presented to the public.
I mean, I completely agree with you, and that made me think, well, what's going on then? Because I'm seeing different people, but the stats are the stats, and I think what it's saying is, you know, you might have 20, so there's only 20%. Obviously, we want this to be 50-50, right? But there's 20% of females that are signed to record labels. I think what you've got to think is there's only 20% of females that are being invested in. So regardless of who you're seeing on your social media, yeah, you might have, you know, a few different people who are of color and female or whatever, great. But the point is there's lots of other people that are signed that you haven't heard of yet, right? Or maybe they're going to make it, maybe they're not, but they are being given a huge opportunity. They've been given a record deal, they're given a team, they're given a machine to make their music work. They're given just opportunity. And the point is, whether you see them on your socials or not, all these other females, like 80% of females aren't getting that opportunity. So you wouldn't know where that's going to take it. And that's the problem. Like you said, it's kind of, you know, very male, white, dominated people making these commissioning decisions. And while that is the case, this is why the stats are going to stay where they are. It's like, it's the people at the top that we need to change. Mm-hmm. And I think when you're talking about behind the scenes, yeah, I mean, God knows what these stats are. There's just like no one. It's so few females of color doing behind the scenes stuff. But for that reason, I'm working with a phenomenal producer called Gloria Kaba, who's African American, Ghanaian descent. On my EP, I was just like, I'm having her amazing, like, you know, like all the females of color that are amazing, I want to work with, you know, and make that known and show people, so that you've got budding producers who go, oh my God, there's that really cool girl, like looks like me, and she's doing, like, it's just all about that for me. Like, you have to be able to see to aspire
and seek it out almost, because there are many people who are not represented by teams, who are very, very talented. 100%. And, you know, I feel like we're trying to be like, all right, come to us. You don't have the resources, like we'll help you out, because those are the people that really, you know, deserve to be heard. But I think that, you know, a mass portion of the music listening population listen to what is given to them, you know, what is like served into the hits or like on the radio, and they don't really look under the surface or keep searching, because you really, you know, like I that's one of my favorite things to do, is just to sit down like on my Spotify or something and like go to this person, oh, they collabed with that person, go to their account, see who they worked with, like just like keep bopping and like going and going and going, because that's when you realize there's so many more creatives out there than what is marketed to you.
Absolutely. But like, amen to that. There's so much. I mean, that's one of the amazing things that I guess Spotify or this culture of kind of streaming and Spotify has given. One of the positives, because they don't pay so well, but one of the positives is that it's opened up the stage for everybody. Like you said, anyone can now release music and have it out there. And yeah, there's just like a rabbit hole of this person. Oh my God, this music. I mean, it's just never ending. Mm-hmm. I remember when that was like the dream. I remember being like a kid and just like dreaming of choosing my own compilation album, because I used to buy like the pop albums, you know, that was like all the hits, compilation album. I used to like dream like it was a distant, you know, never gonna happen. Like, oh, imagine one day I can choose my own music to go on this, and it's like, wow, look where we are now. It's insane.
Playlists.
Yeah,
Yeah.
any playlist you want in the there's anything you want. Amazing.
I want to talk about your music in particular before we head off, because I feel like we've had such a great conversation about, like, your experiences and the people you've worked with and so the support you get, which is so critical, but so is your music. So I want to talk about both Overkill and Home. I really like those two in particular, but I was just wondering if you could, like, maybe talk me through those songs and kind of like the processes of making them.
Yeah. So Overkill, these are both very special songs to me, actually. So Overkill, I wrote it years ago in my flat in Manchester. Um, I don't even know. It was, I mean, I even hate saying this because I hate when people say it, because you're always like, what do you mean? It kind of fell out. When people go, sometimes they just fall out of you. But it kind of just came. I remember like messaging my brother being like, oh, have you got some kind of beat for this? Because I've got this song in my head, and he didn't send me one. And I ended up just making this really like home demo-y crap beat to it, really. But there was something about so it was the first thing that I did completely on my own, like with, didn't really know what I was doing with the software. And there was something about the demo that I made that really just got people's attention. Opened some doors for me, team-wise, industry-wise, and people really liked it. But the problem with that song was we couldn't get the production right. It was like everyone had demo-itis, they call it. Like everyone loved the demo, but it was too like rough to put out. Like it needed to be redone. Every time we tried to redo it, it just lost its spark. And I just had a real love-hate relationship with the song, and it just was dragging out. And we had a version originally, which my management at the time really wanted, and we even released it, and then we even took it down. It was just like a real ordeal until finally I hooked up with a producer who I really love to pieces, called Adam Argyle. And he's works with lots of, mainstream pop artists. And we just really got on, and he said, I gave him a few options of songs that, he could work on. He said, I really want to do this, like trust me with this. And yeah, I feel like we got it there. Like it was such a long, grueling journey, but I was like, I think I'm happy with it. Like, cool, it's there. And it's just about, so the lyrics like describe being in a kind of dingy warehousey club. Like it's a bit grotty, like there's all kinds of stuff going on. Like I talk about even like a blowjob going on in the corner. It's not so blatant in the lyrics, but that's what's happening. It's just kind of just people are in there to just kind of forget and dance and just get down. And that's kind of what it's about.
Places to be, by the way. Like,
yeah, me too. I write so many songs about these places. Like my whole thing is basically this. But yeah, it's about like you want to, you're having a bad time or something, some whatever's going on is a bit shit in your life, and you just want to, dance and on your own. You just don't care, and that's what the song's about. Home. Home, this is funny again. I'm like remembering why I wrote this song again. I wrote this in the same flat in Manchester, and my brother Joe, who I spoke about earlier, who I call for the advice and stuff, he had given me like an instrumental. It was literally just the chords, it's very simple chords, I think 4 chords. He'd given me something like this, and I went home and I just started writing these lyrics. Like, I just wanted, the lyrics are about kind of looking at the things that we do as people, for things, it's like, give me a drug, I need to feel amazing, give me a kiss, my heart is breaking, it's like, it's our culture of demanding, give me this, let's quick fix this, oh no, I'm still broken. Where's home? Like that's, if that's what it's about. Is home is where, I'll leave the light on. It's wherever someone is there for you, and that's what it's about. But I personally, like, I really love the lyrics of that song, and there's going to be like a rework of that song, I think, on the EP, and I have some merch coming out that's related to the lyrics and stuff. And and the video for that, I hooked up with a friend of mine who's a choreographer, and I was watching the OA. Have you seen the OA?
I haven't.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. You gotta watch it. It's like a series on Netflix. It's so good. It's a series on Netflix, and it's about these people that jump from dimension to dimension, but they do it in like they use these like weird movements to do it. I mean, I'm not selling it. I'm making it sound so shit, but it's really good and it's really like real. So they're just like normal kids in school and that, and then they have to do these like movements which you think like there's even a cool kid and he's like, what are you talking about? But when they do them passionately, like this person can jump from one dimension to the other. And I just loved all this. So we use this concept for the video as well. So we're kind of doing these weird movements and yeah, anyway, that's home.
Wow. I am so excited to see what that is. I did write down the OA so I can check it out to like, form the full picture. But
Yeah.
so that's exciting. You have an EP that's going to be coming out soon.
Yeah, I mean, soon, I hope. It's long, man. It's like this independent stuff, man. It takes a while. Yeah, I mean, I hope end of this year is the goal. And sorry, I'm looking up because here I have my pin board, which has the EP track list. So that's why I'm like, what's it? What is it? Yeah, it's like, we're nearly done. I have a couple of things outstanding that I still need the production done. But in the meantime, I've been doing some a lot of top lining, which is like writing the lyrics and melody for instrumentals.
Oh my God, your cat is so entertaining.
Actually going nuts, isn't she? What are you doing? Sorry, yes, I've been doing a lot of top lining, which is writing the like lyrics and melody over electronic tracks or any tracks. And I've been doing a lot of that in lockdown. And I actually have a few of those coming out before my EP, so that'll be a nice little build.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I'm into it.
EP.
So I kind of want to round things out with this question, which is, what advice do you have to our listeners and viewers who are in a creative space and in need of some guidance? Very vague question, but open for interpretation.
No, it's not a vague question. It's just a tough one, isn't it? But I honestly think the best advice is to take the pressure off yourself. I just hear that a lot, that people have this insane pressure, like especially kind of, I don't know, people like early 20s, mid 20s have this like insane pressure to do, get it done, and I have to be the best, and I have to be this, and I have to do that. And I just think you should take the pressure off yourself and do what feels good. And if it feels great to get up and write and sing, if it feels great, do it. And if it doesn't, and if it's causing you pain and stress and pressure, then take a step back and try and regain some balance, like we were saying, and remember the people around you and prioritize those relationships as importantly. I'd say that was my probably best advice, which isn't very music orientated, but I think all that stuff comes, like if you're meant to be doing this, like you've got the music, right? You understand, you know what you're doing. You can play the instrument, or you can sing, and you can write the songs. Like I can't give advice on that. It is what it is. Mm-hmm. But just love it. Just love it. And if you don't love it, like maybe do it as a hobby and get out, because the industry is like, it's a rough ride. It can be a rough ride. And I think if you don't love it, you can get burnt out and a little bit broken. I don't know if that was very inspiring advice.
That was inspiring and realistic. So
yeah. So sorry. Inspiring, realistic. That's it. Yeah, it's amazing. The peaks of this industry are phenomenal, but it's a roller coaster, and you have to be prepared for those lows. So if you're not cut out for it, no worries. Do it as a hobby and do something else. Like take the pressure off yourself. That's my advice.
Thank you. Thank you overall. This whole interview was really great. I'm so glad I got to sit down and get to know you.
Okay, amazing. Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's always fun.
So thank you all to all of our viewers, all of our listeners. RAHH, that was it. So we'll see you next week on another episode of our artist interviews. Thank you, everybody.